under fractions, if you will. This will be reviewed. I think you'll enjoy it. If you don't, that makes me sad. If you do, doesn't really matter. Oh, we've got so much to talk about. Ready? Kind of hurts a little bit. You should take my personal feelings into account. Multiplying and dividing the fractions, children. Multiplying and dividing. Let's just jump right in with both feet. When you multiply, dividing. What is the little rule for multiplying fractions? And then we'll get into a little bit more. Multiply. What do you do when you multiply? Pretty simple process. About the easiest thing you can do with fractions. Layton, multiplying fractions, what is the rule? The phrase that pays.
Multiply.
Multiply who?
Or don't do it up and down.
That's a good rule of thumb. Please don't write them up and down because that's just goofy. When you multiply, Olivia, you simply
Multiply across.
Yep, simply multiply across. Did I spell that right? Which means this. 3/8 times 1/2 doesn't get any easier than that. Please don't write them up and down. Just multiply across. Numerator times numerator and denominator times denominator. And of course you would simplify that, but we don't have to go over that. Okay. And the other thing to remember when you multiply is that the word of means to multiply. Of means to multiply. So if I said 1/2 of 32, which you probably already know, but if you're doing it mathematically, it's 1/2 times 32 over 1. Multiply across, yada, yada, yada. 32 over 2 is 16 if you simplify. Everybody good with that? Do I need to waste any more of your precious and valuable 7th grade time on that? I don't think so. Now division gets a little more hairy. Anybody? Division, the phrase that pays is. Don't worry, I have all day. Do we not remember? You really don't remember how to divide fractions? There's another notch in my cap, isn't it? Don't you want? Emma has a question. No, Emma has a statement. Yes.
Is it like the denominator counting times the numerator?
It is not. Well, I mean, maybe it is. I don't know, but that's not. That wouldn't be the phrase I'd write down here. Cassandra, dividing fractions.
It has to be.
Yes, when we get to mixed numbers it does, but before that, let's start with the baby steps first. Connor.
Like flip the second.
Thank you very much, children. This is almost as easy as multiplication. It's actually multiplication, but before you multiply, you need to flip the second fraction and multiply. Flip the second fraction and multiply, which means this. Let's say I had 3/8 divided by 1/2. 3/8 divided by 1/2. Well, boys and girls and kids of all ages, you are going to take this second fraction. Don't flip the 3/8. If you find yourself always getting the opposite answers that I'm reading, is because you're flipping the wrong one. This is 3/8 times that flipped over, which is 2 over 1. In which case you get 6/8, in this case that reduces down to 3/4. Now, we've got some particulars and some specifics, but I'm going to let you write that down before we go on to something else. Or quickly take care of something. Which is always something, if you want to throw somebody for a loop, always ask them what, 20 divided by half is. Because your first reaction is 20 divided by half is 10, but that's not the right answer. If you're finding how many halves are in 20, you take 20 apples, cut them in half. How many halves do you have? 40. Wait, did I say 20 divided by half? Yeah, there's 40, but that's enough of that. All right, take out a blank piece of paper, and these will be very quick, but you need to have them written in there. Right on the top of one, reciprocal. Reciprocal. Anybody even remember what reciprocals are? Aaron Murray. Reciprocal is what? Thank you very much. A reciprocal is, ladies and gentlemen, that's what we call the fraction flipped over. The flipped over fraction. And I would have wrote this in multiplying and dividing, but if you see the word reciprocal, you're not going to look under multiplying and dividing if you don't know what it is. So here is the deal. One example will, well, maybe a couple examples. What's the reciprocal of, 3/5? The reciprocal of 3/5 is, just flip it over 5/3. What's the reciprocal of 1/2? Flip over 1/2, it is 2/1, or just 2. What's the reciprocal of 17? What is the reciprocal of 17, Chase?
117.
Right, because you put a 1 under it, it's 117. Are you good with that? Are you down with that? Can we just stop with that? I don't need to beat that dead horse anymore. Because technically what I should have told you here, under this division, I should have said multiply by the reciprocal. That's really what I should have said, because that's what you're doing here. You're flipping the second fraction, which is its reciprocal, and multiply. Everybody good with that? One more blank piece of paper. I'm very excited. You must have had a great weekend based on all the excitement that you're alluding at now. Is, write this down, multiplicative inverse. Multiplicative inverse. Multiplicative inverse. Anybody want to throw a dart at that one? Wow, listen, not only did I get an email, but my phone is also ringing at the same time. It's a multimedia adventure back at my desk. I wish I was there. Anybody? Somebody take a quick guess. Maya Clausing. Multiplicative inverse. If I could hear you, I'd probably say no. What did you say? Ready? Amaze and astonish your friends. Multiplicative inverse is the same as, anybody?
Reciprocal.
Thank you, whoever said that. Reciprocal.
Ooh.
Shake it, baby, now. Shake it up, baby.
That was weak. You could do better.
I may have to ban that whole thing from ever happening.
No.
I cannot encourage you to do half-hearted attempts at
What if we get a grade on how good we do it?
I
That would be fantastic. I should get a
Alright, so you got that. This is just because if it comes up, how are you going to know where to look? If you come up with multiplicative inverse, you'll say it's the same as reciprocal. If you don't know what that is, you then can go to your reciprocal notes and figure out what it is and blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. Let's go back to this page here. Are you with me here?
Yes.
Write down one last problem before I set you free and you shall be, well, no, a couple of them. How many 3/5 are in 1? How many 3/5 in 1? Does anybody have an answer for me on that? Leighton, 5/3. Where does that come from? Of which? The reciprocal of 1? Which is what? What is the reciprocal of 1? 1. You give me a different answer? That? Now, for those of you that are confused on this, please think about this like this. A lot of times fractions confuse people. It's a good strategy for you to do this. If you don't understand a problem, get rid of the fractions. Put in a real number, a whole number, something that's easy to work with, and see what process you would use. In other words, how many 3/5 in 1 kind of confuses you, does it not? Because you think about how do you take 3/5 out of 1, blah, 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 blah. But if you changed it to say this, how many 5s are in 10? How many 5s are there in 10? Wait, is that too deep for you? Anybody figure out how many 5s are in 10? Let me know if this is way over your head. What you're saying is 2, right? Well, if you have 10 and 5, what did you do to get 2? You took 10 and divided it by 5, right? But I don't have 5 and 10. I have 3/5 and 1. The 1 was the same as the 10. And the 3/5 was the same as the 5, so you put it in place of the 5. So it's 1 divided by 3/5. In which case you can use our little, make this a fraction, 1 over 1, and multiply by its reciprocal or the multiplicative inverse. And that is where Leighton Purdue got 5/3. Because 1 divided by 3/5 is 5/3. Same thing if you came up with this thing. If you said, how many 1/8 are in 1/4? How many 1/8 in 1/4? Question mark. Now, you will probably come up with this little tidbit of whatever here. You know the answer is either going to be 1/8 divided by 1/4, or it's going to be 1/4 divided by 1/8, in which case you're going to get two completely opposite answers. How do you know which one of those is the way it is? How do I know? Don't just tell me which one it is. How do I know, Connor?
On the bottom, so it makes sense if you can divide it.
What?
I mean, not divide it. On the bottom.
What
Like
makes
4/8,
sense?
you can't divide it.
I can do either one of these problems. All I got to do is flip and multiply by the second one. The answer to this one is 4/8 or 1/2, and the answer to this one is 2. So my choice is either half or 2. Either one of them is an acceptable answer, but only one of them is right. How do I know which is which? Caleb?
Do it in the order they're stated.
Unfortunately, that will get you the wrong answer. If you do it in the order you say, I don't know. I really should probably do it before I do that, but I'm gonna do it. Now, I don't want to beat the dead horse again, but I thought I just told you no more than 2.5 minutes ago how to do something like that, but nobody, Chase, I am all, why does nobody listen to me? I went through that whole speech about blah, 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 blah. How many 1/8 are in 1/4? Lauren says,
You can put in all.
yeah, think about this. Again, change the numbers. How many, 3s are in 9? Now, you might want to say, well, how do I know which one to make the 9, which one to make the 3? Let's switch that. What if you said how many 9s are in 3? That wouldn't make sense, would it? So you really want to go with the one that says, okay, how many 3s are in 9? Now, if you're doing this as a division problem, which number goes first? The 9 divided by 3 or is it 3 divided by 9? Olivia?
9 divided by
It's 9 divided by 3. So this, unlike Caleb's suggestion of putting them down in order, the 1/4 actually goes first, divided by 1/8. So you get 1/4 times 8 over 1, which would give you 2. Which makes a little bit of sense, ladies and gentlemen, if you went back to last year with your little fraction circles. The question you're asking is this: how many 1/8 can you take out of 1/4? Well, here is my 1/4 piece, right? And my 1/8 piece actually is half of that, because that would cut it into 8 pieces. So how many 1/8 can you get out of 1/4? 2 of them. And I'm sorry if I really try to get you to think a little bit, that's my bad. I really should just give you blind information. We can do that, don't you worry. Is there anything else you need to know, children? No, I don't think so. I think we're just going to stop there while we're ahead.